press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello children, so we are in the discussion of biomolecules. This will be part 5 of our discussion. So we have learnt about many properties of carbohydrates, many properties of monosaccharides and disaccharides. So disaccharides we talked about was lactose, then we had maltose, then we have sucrose. Out of which sucrose is non-reducing, and that I told you in our previous class what exactly and why it is a non-reducing sugar. Today we are starting a discussion on the polymeric formers, that is polysaccharides. Polysaccharides, as we have known, these are made up of more than 10 monosaccharide units. Or on dissociation, they give more than 10 monosaccharide units. On hydrolysis, they give more than 10. So hydrolysis, we have the addition of water, and dehydration is the removal of water, and I call that dehydration process hydration process as inversion in cane sugar, also called as invert sugar. That was our previous discussion. Now we will start a discussion on the first one being starch. Keep it in mind, when many enzymes work on the starch, you have got many individual components obtained, in which one of the individual components obtained can be maltose, and then maltose, when it is acted upon by maltase, we are getting 2 units of glucose. We get 2 units of glucose. This starch can be acted upon by zymase, and we get dextrins. What are dextrins? Actually, these are multiple subfragments of the longer polysaccharide, which is, in the present case, we are discussing about starch. Children, this starch, if you look on the whole in a general structure for this starch, this is not soluble in water, but I will give you the examples with respect to water. This is technically made up of 2 parts. One is called as amylose and one is called as amylopectin. We'll discuss that out. It's made up of 2 parts: starch, amylose, which is near about 10 to 20% basic information, and then we have amylopectin, which is near about 80 to 90% respectively. Now, what exactly does amylose part mean? What does amylopectin mean? And what about this starch? Whether it is reducing or non-reducing? Remember that starch is non-reducing. What is it? Non-reducing. Although it has free anomeric carbon on its basic monosaccharide unit. I'll explain these things well. Okay, so looking on this starch, this is the basic information with respect to the starch. The basic repeating unit of this starch is, children, alpha D plus glucopyranose. The basic repeating unit of this starch is alpha D plus glucopyranose. So technically, when you look on the structure of starch, what you will have, a basic repeating unit will be maltose, right? We will have the removal of water molecule from each alpha D plus glucopyranose. So the general formula becomes C6, H is actually 12, O6. When you remove water molecule from each of this, you will get C6, you will get H10, and then it will be O5, and this is repeated n times to result in the formation of polysaccharide called as starch. Let us have a look onto this in terms of its diagrammatic way. Diagrammatic analysis of this can be done. So we have two parts of this, amylose and amylopectin. Then it's a non-reducing sugar. It's not much soluble, and we'll talk about that. Solubility in water we'll talk about in terms of amylose and amylopectin. Be careful to understand this. Look on this chain. First, the basic repeating unit we have, children, is, I won't mention hydrogens here, so I will mention down. This is OH, H, and here you got CH2OH. Rest of the positions you all know. It is OH, you will got OH here, and you have OH here. Then the second alpha D glucopyranose unit will have, it is OH at this position, correct or not, as usual. Then you will have one more group here, CH2OH group. This is alpha D glucose. To be precise enough, it is alpha D plus glucopyranose, right? Alpha D plus glucopyranose. So I'll write alpha D glucose. This is also alpha D glucose. Now, these OH and OH, both of these are below the plane. If you want to see the bond line notation here also. So how exactly these OH groups are arranged with respect to that carbon atom. So these OH groups are, this is downwards, so this will be dashed, and then there will be wedge. So this H is above the plane and this OH will be below the plane. Similar way for the other one also, you will have the OH below the plane and then you will have H above the plane. Keep it in mind, this one is carbon 1, anomeric carbon, so this is carbon 1 and this one is carbon 4. This is alpha glucose, this is also alpha glucose, so the link will be alpha 1,4 link will be present in the basic repeating unit of this polysaccharide, that is starch. Okay, so when one water molecule will be removed from here, what we'll get is, we'll have one oxygen here. So the link between the two is like an acetal link, so it is RCO, or it's like ester linkage only. Why is it? Basic. So glycostic linkage, which is between carbon 1 and carbon 4. So this is alpha 1,4 link. When you continue this alpha 1,4 link in this direction, when you continue this alpha 1,4 link in this direction, what you will get? You will get one more O, then you will get one more O. If you want to mention it also, so you will have here OH, you got here OH. H I am not mentioning here. So here you got OH, you got here OH. Then here you have CH2OH. This is which position? 6th position. Here again you got CH2OH and here you have OH. Here you got OH group present, right? And again you have a link here in the form of OH, which can continue. And this one is the chain which is carbon number what? 4. This can also continue the chain. So this chain can continue. So this chain can continue n number of times. So the basic repeating unit, which is held by what linkage? Alpha 1,4 link. It's a glycostic linkage existing between the two. These monosaccharide units, by the elimination of water, will combine and result in the formation of a polymer, which is starch here. But remember, this linear chain that you have obtained by just alpha 1,4 link, we call this linear part of the starch as amylose. So amylose is the basic linear structure, linear chain of starch, in which each alpha D glucopyranose unit or alpha D plus glucopyranose or alpha D glucose or simple D glucose or alpha glucose molecules are held with each other by what linkage? Glycosidic linkage, and this is repeated n number of times. Clear? This makes it the amylose part. So this is amylose. linear chain. Now when you look on the amylose part, this has got the OH exposed out, right? And when you dissolve it in water, this amylose part is soluble in water. This is soluble in water. But remember, there is only near about 10 to 20% of the whole molecule which is only in the amylose linear chain structures itself. Then one more particular part with respect to this amylose, with respect to this starch, is amylopectin. And what exactly amylopectin is? Amylopectin is the branch which originates from the amylose chain from the 6th position. From which position? 6th position. I will draw the diagram here. So I will draw one more amylose chain. OH is here, right? I will continue this linkage. Hope you are understanding what I am doing. Linkage I am continuing. Which linkage? Glycosidic linkage. And then this OH can continue the bond formation here also. You can see that this is carbon number 1, which is anomeric carbon, and this is carbon number 4. This chain can continue. Is this 4th carbon a reducing end or a non-reducing end? You can see that this carbon is attached to OH, then it will be attached to some side chain itself. There is no hydrogen available at all. And then there is some C link with CH2. So this is not our hemiacetal group, right? So this particular will be a non-reducing end. This is non-reducing end. Again, you got 4th end, it's a non-reducing end. So in this amylose chain, in the pull of the chain, you will get one reducing end and one non-reducing end. Now this group, if you keep on going forward, at the end what you will get here is OH group and you will get H group. This is H, OH and ether. So this is our hemiacetal group. This will be reducing or non-reducing. If you continue this chain forever, at the end there will remain one hemiacetal group which will be in a position to show the reaction. Thus will be a reducing for us, right? But amylose chain I am talking about. Understand it well. I earlier said the starch on the whole is a non-reducing sugar. Reason for that will be given. So you got CH2, OH group and OH. What will be removed off from here? Again, water molecule will be removed. Once water is removed, link will be here. It will be between CH2. Got it? Carbon. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oxygen. So again you got what linkage here? This is what? Carbon number 1. So what link here there? Again, glycosidic linkage. But this link is between carbon number 6 and carbon number 1. So carbon number 6 of one of the glucose unit of one amylose chain with carbon number 1 of one more amylose chain. So this link will be what link here? It will be alpha 1,6 link. So children, branch link is what? Alpha 1,6 link. But amylose chains are held with each other. What is this link? Alpha 1,4. So in amylose we have alpha 1,4 link, and at the branched regions we have what links? Alpha 1,6 links. Now what will you get here? 4th end. Here also 4 end. Now you can continue this chain here or not? You can continue the chain at 6th end or not? Yes. This branched chain that now comes into play on the whole, this branched chain is now called as amylopectin. Now what will happen by that? One is branching will come into play. The OH groups which are present will hide itself. As they get hidden, hydrogen bonding with water will not come into play, so solubility in the water will decrease. Thus, amylose part of the starch is soluble. But because most part of the starch that we have is found in the form of amylopectin. So solubility of starch in water does not come into play at all. So solubility in medium will be extremely less. Solubility in water will be extremely less because charged regions, the hydrogen bonded regions are hidden in a branched chain respectively. So the whole amylose plus amylopectin, amylose plus amylopectin on the whole makes what? Starch. In amylose link is only alpha 1,4. In amylopectin you have alpha 1,4 link as well as alpha 1,6 link is present. Remember that whatever the enzymes we have in the body, they do not work on the reducing ends. They only work on the non-reducing end itself. Have a look. When this chain will continuously grow itself, suppose you get one more chain from one more region. You will get one more chain from this region. You will always find out in the whole molecule of one molecule of starch, you will always have only one reducing end, but there will be n number of non-reducing ends depending upon the total number of chains of that starch present. And in our body, see the balance, see the stereochemistry working. In our body, all the enzymes that are working only on non-reducing ends, so that, because we know starch is the repository, right? It can give energy, right or not? So this starch can be acted upon inside the body. As it goes inside the body, it can be acted upon in the body at once on multiple non-reducing ends, because first thing is, in our body you have alpha 1,6 links that can be broken, then alpha 1,4 links that can be broken, yes or no? Once the links are broken, digestion has come into play. There will be amylose chains freed. Once amylose chains get freed, there will be numerous number of non-reducing ends. In the whole molecule there is only one reducing end, correct or not? Now tell me, with this big molecule into comparison, this big molecular mass containing molecule, the reaction shown by that only one reducing end with Tollens reagent, Benedictus solution or Pellinger solution will be there, but it will be extremely small, so that the net result almost doesn't come into play at all. Thus, these all are called as non-reducing sugars. Technically, these polysaccharides are not technically called as sugars because they are not sugarish in taste itself. They are carbohydrates which are non-sugars itself. Did you get it? Did you understand the function or not? So what is the bond formation? Alpha 1,4, alpha 1,6. Remember, this amylose chain is there, right? After every 24 units, you will have a branch coming out. From where? From an amylose chain. After every 24 units, one branch will be coming out in starch. And it can be acceptable. It is acceptable as well. After 24 units means the density of this starch will not be high. So if you have seen the starch granule under microscope, you will analyze it out. It's not much dark. But if you see the glycogen granule, which is an important source of repository or energy storing source present in the human systems, like it can be in the brain or it can be in the muscles or it's on the kidneys also, and muscles as well, it can be stored, right? So that is extremely dense. And what is the reason of the density of that glycogen compared to starch? Is the branching. And it can be understood. This is the main storer of energy in plants. And the plant body is wide and the plant body is big. So osmotic effects will not play much important in the plant body. How much it can help in animal bodies. And animal bodies are fixed and they are very fixed and limited in size. So they need to store more and more energy in the shorter regions itself. Thus there is a modification of the energy storers like starch and glycogen. Glycogen being more branched will store more number of alpha D glucose units within a short region itself. Thus when you see that branching is occurring more under microscopy, what it would look like? It would look like more dense. So glycogen granules are more dense compared to what? Starch. And what is this starch? Non-reducing or reducing? It is non-reducing. Multiple non-reducing ends. Only one reducing end. Multiple enzymes can act upon this starch at once and release the energy at once which is needed by the body. Am I clear here or not? Or did you understand the logic here or not? So structure wise, what are the links in the starch molecule? So I will write it down. Links are alpha 1,4, that is in amylose, and it is alpha 1,6 in amylopectin. So where from branch originates, it is alpha 1,6, and in the linear amylose chain, it's alpha 1,4. You need to keep a very close sight onto these concepts to understand it. Did you get it or not? So there is only everywhere you see, in the whole molecule, if you look on children, there will be many branches coming out. You will always find out only one hemiacetal carbon will be remaining, because you will have lots of 4 ends remaining free, but you will have only one end, and one end of the glucose is what? Anomeric carbon, where the reaction actually comes into play, where the system can open up and show reactions respectively. Clear with the basic postulate here? Right. So this is the basic structure of what? Starch. Now, if you want to draw it in the basic manner, Now, if you want to see this in the basic manner, how the structure would look like, have a look. So it will be like this. Okay. You can have branch originating from which end? 6 end. So a tree-like structures will come into play here, right? So similar way, if you have one more here, that can continue here. This is branch. What branch is it? Alpha 1 6. This one is alpha 1 4. Branching link is between, this is 6th carbon, this is 1st carbon. 1 6. Again this is 1 4 links. Right, so after 24 units you will find out the branch coming out of it. So if you look on this, it will be diagrammatically, it will be like this. It can be shown like this. So we cannot put a bar where from actually the branch will come out. Always you will find, actually it should be reverse. You will always get one end. Which one? Anomeric end. So this one, this will be anomeric end. You won't find anywhere else anomeric end coming to play, because when the branching will occur, only one anomeric end will be obtained, and multiple, this will be only one reducing end and multiple non-reducing ends will come into play. So a tree-like structures will be formed from glycogen, from the starch molecule itself. Is it clear? Basic thing is understood here or not? So only one reducing end, reaction is not that much vigilant and the reaction is not that much dominant. It's not more high in percentage, respectively, thus it will be a non-reducing sugar itself. Clear or not? Basic unit. That's a basic unit. Alpha D glucose held by two linkages, alpha 1 4, alpha 1 6, multiple non-reducing ends. So we'll have many non-reducing ends, only one reducing end. So the formula on the whole, when the water molecule will be removed, you can find out the linear chain called as amylose, and the branch part of that is called as amylopectin. Clear or not? Now, starch is this. What about glycogen? Now, if you look on glycogen, I'm not going to discuss it, it's quite simple. In glycogen also, the basic chains are same. It's only alpha D. In glycogen also, it is alpha D plus glucose only. It's the basic unit only. The only thing is branching. In starch, branching is coming out after 24 units. Means after 24 units, one more branch will come from that particular chain. But in case of glycogen, branching comes out only after 12 units. That means glycogen is more extensively branched compared to that of starch. This is the basic structural difference between the two. Clear or not? And I told you the reason, because starch acts as a storer of energy, storer of food, storer of supplying energy in plant itself. In plants, starch. But glycogen is in the animal body, human bodies, so which are very limited. So the amount of energy that you need to store is high in a very limited space. So that can only be done when more branching of the glycogen. So this is technically a structural modification. So it's actually structural modification that is helping glycogen within the same region to occupy more amount of glucose, which can be easily released out when the need arises in the body. Is it clear? Did you understand the glycogen part? Again, glycogen will have only one reducing end and many non-reducing ends. Even glycogen is made up of amylose and amylopectin. Amylopectin is insoluble because it is branched. Having more branches, the OH groups get hidden. As OH groups get hidden, interaction with water becomes difficult. But if you look on the amylose chain, you will find it very easy. What? In amylose chain, you can find out that not only is OH groups get hidden, there is one more way by which you can explain it out in terms of planarity. These OH and OH groups from different glucose molecules can come side on side with each other when they are hidden. They can come side on and develop what? Hydrogen bonding. As they develop hydrogen bonding, they can provide the strength. But remember that hydrogen bonding between the chains in starch and glycogen is not profound. It is not profound. There is a reason for it. The reason is that functional groups like OH from 6th carbon and 1st carbon are already removed. There are only 2 carbon atoms where OH groups are present. That's carbon number 2, carbon number 3, and precisely carbon number 4, where OH groups are present. Look here. It's extremely important to understand this one. Structural feature. You look here. This is glucose. Now, if hydrogen bonding is extremely strong in starch and glycogen, then our body will need extreme amount of energy first of all to break those hydrogen bonding in between the chains. Then it has to break a covalent bond, which is alpha 1,4 link. So it has to break hydrogen bonds. Then alpha 1,4 link is to be broken. First of all, alpha 1,6 link is to be broken. So it will take enormous time for the enzymes to work on it and release energy for us. That means hydrogen bonding availability is less between the chains. Although OH groups are present, it can be understood by this itself as well. See, here the OH group which is present is already lost out, because this will bond up with carbon 6. This CH2OH will bond up with carbon 6 of the next chain. Sorry, carbon 1. Are you understanding it or not? This is very good concept actually. This is CH2OH group. To be precise, this is OH group, and this one is what? Alpha, sorry. It is H, this is CH2OH group. This is OH group. Here it is CH2OH. Here we have OH. Here we have OH. It is above the plane, right or not? This needs to be understood. And here you got one more OH. This will be used for bonding C16 link. This also will be used for C16 link. This will be used for alpha 1,4 link. This will be used for alpha 1,6 link. This will be used for alpha 1,4 link, because the chain will continue is this side. There are 2 OH groups which are available to you. So the hydrogen bonding tendency by these will be there, but it will be less. They are hidden. They can make interchain within the molecule. Actually, intramolecular hydrogen bonding in between different chains. So intramolecular hydrogen bonding in between chains of different amylose chains in an amylopectin molecule. So these two will make hydrogen bond, but not much stronger. And exposure to the medium will also be less, because of branched structure. As a result of that, solubility decreases. Clear or not? However, in glycogen, same thing. More branching, much difficult. So glycogen easily cannot be dissolved in medium itself, easily cannot be dissolved in water. But one more important thing with respect to the structural features of cellulose. Which one? Cellulose. Very important thing. Cellulose we know. Did you understand the phenomena here? Again, glycogen will be non-reducing. Now when you look on cellulose, so all polysaccharides that I have discussed so far are non-reducing. Now, if you look on cellulose, let me clear certain facts. No branching. That means only amylose part exists. But here in amylose part, branching is different. It is beta 1,4 branching is there. What's the branching here? Beta 1,4 link. Sorry, I'll write it later. No branching. Not soluble in water, but in organic solvents. Now that can be understood. Cellulose is a structural feature. It's an important structural unit of different bacteria and plants. And even it has got various functions like cellulose in terms of cotton and many other sources, fibers. It can be used for making cloths. It can be used for making different types of substances. So it doesn't make sense for cellulose to be water soluble. Number two, it doesn't make sense for cellulose to be extremely weak, which can break very easily. Then otherwise when the rain will be falling on us and cloths will be water soluble, then cloths will be coming out from our body like a sand itself. So what structural feature of cellulose makes cellulose such a resistant substance that we need strong bacteria for its digestion? Termites, as I mentioned earlier itself, and herbivores like ruminants are able to digest this cellulose, because ruminants in their cecum part, as I mentioned earlier, cecum part, they have the longer cecum part which contain lots of bacteria. And even the termites which are able to break down wood, because that wood ploughing occurs or wood breaking occurs at many places, that powder like substances from the wood are continuously coming out, it's due to termites, because their wood actually is a cellulose itself, right? They are able to break it out very easily because they contain those enzymes. Our body does not contain, so we cannot digest it out. However, cellulose is an important part in the nutrition in terms of its fiber. Okay, let's have a look on the cellulose structure wise. Cellulose is made up of beta links between the beta D-glucose molecules. Have a look. So we have this. Which one is it? Beta D-glucose. So we'll get OH above. Then as usual, OH. Then you got OH. You have got as usual OH here, right? Sorry, it's here. You can see the structures itself. Now other beta D-glucose unit. So OH, then you got OH, then you got OH. This is beta OH, this is CH2OH. Again you have got here CH2OH. This is carbon 1 and this is carbon 4. You can easily see the link is upside down. Yes, so a crooked link like that in lactose was developed, a crooked link will be developed here also. Now in order to make the diagram much easier for all of us to understand, because this OH is above the plane and this OH is below the plane, carbon 1 and carbon 4. Now as OH is above the plane, OH is below the plane, they are on the opposites of a plane, right? So they will develop a link which will be a crooked link. Number one, you can draw a crooked link and move on. Or structurally, in order to make a proper glycosidic linkage between the two which is not crooked, this molecule usually will be rotated at 180 degrees. Now you look on this case, children, it's OH and OH, right? So what will happen here? It is beta D glucose. This is beta D glucose. So what's a link? Beta 1,4 link. Yes or no? This will be beta 1,4 link here. Now beta 1,4 link will make a crooked bond here, right? Here also you will have a crooked bond. Here also you will have a crooked bond. This chain will continue or not with a crooked link? N times this chain continues. N times. No branching for this molecule at all. So the link is beta 1,4. Link is strong or weak? Link is crooked link, it brings the molecules much closer. Or you can do one more thing. So rotation, if you do this, if you rotate this molecule. So in cellulose, each alternate beta glucose is rotated by 180 degrees, so that both OH groups will be on same side of a plane. So when both will be on same side of plane, there you need not to mention crooked link, but in diagrammatic analysis you have to mention out the crooked link. Due to that, what happens? Particles will be very close, bond will be very strong. When the bond is strong, breaking becomes extremely difficult. Thus beta 1,4 links cannot be broken. There are no enzymes in the body which can break beta 1,4 link, but there are enzymes which can break alpha 1,4 and alpha 1,6 links. I have said it many times and I repeat it. It is the bonds in the molecules that determine how they behave against the external reagents. Bonds are strong, breaking will be difficult. Bonds are weak, breaking becomes easier. Now, understand it out. Because this is a linear structure, with most of it is OH groups free. This OH is free, this OH is free. this CH2OH group is free. While earlier we checked in starch and glycogen that OH molecules most have been used. Carbon number 6 OH molecule used. Carbon number 1 OH molecule used. Carbon number 4 OH molecule used. Only carbon number 2 and 3 hidden molecules, hidden OH groups also. In amylopectin they are very hidden. They are hidden. They can still make hydrogen bond, but that will be extremely weak because hydrogen bond is dependent upon the alignment of hydrogen bonded atoms. That is, hydrogen bonded atoms, if they are aligned at the angle of 180 degrees, they are linearly arranged with each other, then hydrogen bonding tendency will be more. These things you need to understand, and we need time for these things to discuss out in deeper detail, children. Now anyway, looking here, OH is free, CH2OH is free. So most of the OH groups are free, and this is not in its amylopectin phase. This is just a linear chain only. What will happen? One more chain will come here. Yes or no? Yes or no? One more chain will come here. What will these chains do? Intramolecular hydrogen bonds between different cellulose linear chains will occur, resulting in the formation of fibers of cellulose, which are extremely hard. So right, so what will be like fiber of cellulose? We can consider this is a fiber of cellulose, and each is, what is this particular region? This is one molecule of cellulose. One molecule of cellulose, I mean to say one linear chain of cellulose, right? One molecule of cellulose. This is also cellulose, this is also cellulose. Now you have one reducing end, this one, and one non-reducing end, but the molecular size and the molecular weight of this molecule is very high. As a result of that, again, having that hemiacetal form available for opening out and be in a position to reduce Ag plus to Ag and Cu2 plus to Cu2O, although it can do it, but the net reaction shown by this will be negligible. As a result of that, this is also considered to be a non-reducing carbohydrate. Did you understand the structural analysis of this? You got it clear here? 180-degree rotation if you do. If you give 180-degree rotation, then alternately you have to give this 180-degree rotation. What for? So that the OH groups will come on the same side. So when you do 180-degree rotation, this molecule on the whole will go upside down. Bond formation will occur. No crooked bonds you need to mention, but you need to understand structures at its complicated events. Only then it becomes easier to understand. So cellulose breaking is difficult because bonds are extremely hard to break. Because of this alternate twisting, you know it, children, if you have two ropes, okay, you can cut down, you can pull the ropes very easily. Somehow you may be able to cut it. But if you twist those ropes with each other, and then what will happen to the tensile strength? It will be extremely high. This is what happens to cellulose. Due to this different type of bonding, which is beta-1,4 link, due to different type of bonding, this becomes highly strong, that the tensile strength of cellulose molecule will also be, that means the tensile strength of cellulose molecule is higher, and that is actually one of the fundamental reasons why this cellulose is used as an important structural feature. I said earlier, children, whatever the natural things are there, whatever the bond patterns are there that nature has maintained in molecules, we need to comprehend those and we need to understand those. And once we dig deeper into the molecular interpretation of different things, we start to feel like how exact, how accurate God has made things and how clean He has made things. We start to feel it out. But only thing you can do this thing only when you don't try to just cover up your portions and cover up your syllabus. Rather, you try to find out the intricacies of bonds in different molecules respectively. So, as I mentioned, I repeat it out, the structure of a molecule governs its function. And I think in carbohydrate, it is the structure only that is the basic requirement, and that's the basic reason for different properties which are shown by these molecules respectively. Am I clear with this thought, children? So these are polysaccharides. All the three polysaccharides are non-reducing. So let me revive it a bit, children. So we have starch and we have glycogen. Structure wise they are same. What is the basic molecule? Alpha glucose is there. Links are there, alpha 1,4 and alpha 1,6 link is there. The only difference between the two is that glycogen is more branched compared to starch. And I explained the structural feature with respect to that. And when you look on the starch, technically starch molecules are, cellulose molecules are long linear chains held by what linkage? Beta 1,4 link, a crooked link will be there. So alternate position. So it is suppose 2, this is 4, this is 6. Alternate positions will be twisted, and due to that twisting, cellulose molecule gets high tensile strength. Not only that, there will be lots of energy dissipation, energy release when that twisting will occur. Bond strengths will be more, breaking of bond becomes difficult, the tensile strength will be high. And besides that, how the molecule becomes extremely high strength wise in terms of its net structure, in terms of its molecular interactions, is interchain hydrogen bonding because of maximum OH groups available. And why it's not able to dissolve in water is it's insoluble in water. Reason is very simple, because all OH groups are engaged in interchain hydrogen bonding between different molecules of cellulose, so they don't get any chance to interact with the water and dissolve there. Am I clear? So this is a general concept with respect to carbohydrates and their properties. So our next discussion, children, that will start will be amino acids, which are the fundamental stones, fundamental basis for proteins. So that there also very important discussions are coming into play. Am I clear? Fine. Thank you, children.